Hello, I'm Beth, and this is Social Leopards. Today, I'm going to talk about something that may be small in name, but it's definitely not so small in emotional impact. And that something is micro-rejections. They're those tiny, almost invisible social slights that creep into our day and settle under our skin. It could be a friend who forgets to loop you into a group text, the seen notification that never gets a reply, or the coworker who invites everyone except you to lunch. On paper, it's nothing major, but inside, it's a not so micro-sized bruise that somehow takes days to fade. We tend to dismiss these moments because they feel petty or trivial. You might try to tell yourself, I don't care, or it's not a big deal. But honestly, even if that's what your brain is telling you, your heart is often disagreeing big time. But maybe I have that a little wrong, because neuroscientists have found that the brain processes social rejection in the same regions that handle physical pain. So that sting you feel when you realize you were left out, that's not just in your head. That's biology doing its job, reminding you that connection matters. But when these small rejections pile up, a missed text here, a cold shoulder there, they can quietly shape how we see ourselves. You start to wonder, am I too much, or am I not enough, or am I saying something wrong? And before long, you're spiraling, rewriting entire friendships in your head based on a single unanswered message. I've totally been there. A few years ago, I noticed I wasn't being invited to the casual get-togethers I used to be part of. Everyone swore they either just forgot to text me or they thought they had sent me the message. But after the fifth or sixth time, it didn't feel accidental anymore. I started to question if I'd done something to deserve it. Maybe I was boring or not fun enough or too much. And you know what I did? I started to overcompensate. I started sending extra friendly messages, trying to initiate plans, making sure I was easy to be around. In other words, I started kind of auditioning for friendships I already had. It took a while to realize that performance wasn't protecting me, it was erasing me. Micro-rejections have this weird way of pulling us out of authenticity. They whisper that connection is conditional, that we have to earn belonging by being more agreeable or more entertaining, more something. But true belonging isn't earned through effort. It's sustained through mutual care. So let's talk about how to deal with the quiet hurt these moments leave behind, without pretending we're above it and without giving away our self-worth to every unread text bubble. First, you should give it a name. When something stings, say so, at least to yourself. Instead of rushing to justify it, like telling yourself they're just busy, take a breath and acknowledge that hurt my feelings. It sounds simple, but naming the emotion stops it from festering in that quiet corner of self-doubt. Second, check the story you're telling. Our brains love a good narrative, especially when we don't have the full picture. They didn't invite me easily because they don't like me. But maybe they assumed you were busy, or they did just forget. A more balanced story sounds like, I don't know why this happened yet, but I know I'm still worthy of connection. It's not the first thing that most of us think, so it takes a while to reframe situations in this way, but over time, it really does start to sink in. It's not about denial. It's about refusing to let those types of micro-rejections rewrite your whole self-image. Third, use your body as a grounding tool. Notice where you feel that social sting. Maybe your chest starts to feel tighter. Maybe your face lights up a fiery, bright, hot red. Maybe you feel a drop or a flip-flop in your stomach. Breathe into it, right there in the moment. Your body is brilliant at alerting you when something feels unsafe, even emotionally. Let the breaths you take remind your nervous system that you're still safe, still whole, and still connected to yourself. Fourth, re-anchor in genuine connection. When you feel excluded, your instinct might be to retreat or numb out. Instead, reach toward the people who consistently make space for you, even if it's just one friend or a family member or a coworker who frequently checks in with you. Let their steadiness remind you that you are, in fact, included. Sometimes it takes just one genuine connection to silence the noise of a dozen small rejections. I think this is my fifth point. Practice soft boundaries. Not every relationship needs to be cut off after a single hurt, but it is okay to recalibrate how much access someone has to you. You can still be kind while protecting your peace. Think of it less like building a wall and more like adjusting the dimmer switch on how much energy you give that person, at least for a while. Something that I've learned is that you can't control whether people see your worth, but you can control whether you keep shrinking yourself just to be noticed. The truth is, micro-rejections are part of modern life. They happen in friend groups, in the workplace, and yes, even among your family members. What matters most is what happens afterwards. Do we let them chip away at us, or do we use them as gentle reminders of where we truly belong? Because sometimes the absence of an invite isn't a reflection of your value. Maybe it's a quiet nudge towards spaces where you'll be celebrated, not just tolerated. And that brings me to my final point. Cultivate self-compassion in the aftermath of exclusion. When you're really feeling the sting of those moments after you've been left out, it's easy to spiral into harsh self-criticism, and that's a recipe for getting stuck in that negative cycle. The other thing I do sometimes is that I mentally replay awkward interactions in my mind, trying to think about it. I don't know, how I wished I would have played it out instead. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, a brief moment of self-reflection to prevent feeling the same way in the future is healthy, but replaying on repeat and not giving yourself a break for that human moment is not going to change anything. Instead, I'm going to repeat some advice I think I've pulled out often this season. Speak to yourself the way you would to a close friend. Acknowledge the discomfort, but also recognize your own humanity and resilience. Self-compassion is the true key to creating space to heal and to move forward without letting small setbacks define your entire sense of self. So if you've been left out lately, take a deep breath. You're still in the circle that matters, your own circle. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to drop me a comment, connect with me on social media, or share it with someone who might need the same reminder. Check out the show notes for links. Until next time, stay grounded, stay kind, and keep building connections that make you feel seen. Take care.